Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I'm not sure. For some reason, my camera's turned off, but I'm going to be doing screen share anyway. So I must have. I've been messing with my screencasting software a lot, so I think I might have turned my camera off for some reason. Can you hear me though? Good. Okay. Okay, so we're going to get started here in a second. I'm going to go ahead and call up my screen share. Can you see my screen? You see the ruler? Okay. Okay, so guys, I'm really sorry you can't see me. Like I said, I think I messed with my my camera to the point where Zoom is not recognizing me. But that's probably a good thing because my wife gave me a haircut yesterday and it's not the best. So I'll put a picture of me up at some point, but at least you can all see each other. Can you see each other? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, good. Okay, guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the answers to yesterday's Kahoot, and then we are going to talk about the concepts that we're going to cover for today. So the big news is that we are going to be interviewing a friend of mine. His name is Gil Lund, and he is an engineer in Seattle. And he works on some very high-tech machines for both Boeing and the military and different space agencies, including SpaceX and NASA. So I'm gonna admit I have a waiting room here today, so I'm gonna make sure that everybody who wants to be in can be in. Okay. All right. So once again, if you can't see me, I think I messed with my settings. I've been trying lots of different more complex video software, and I think I've messed it up, but hopefully you can see my screen. Can you see my ruler screen? Give me thumbs up. Give me thumbs up. Thanks, Ivan. Good. Okay, guys, so thanks again for coming. I know it's not ideal for us to have class like this every day, but at least it's a way for us to see each other. Like I said, we're going to quickly go over the answers to yesterday's Kahoot and then go over the concept for today. What I wanted to do was I wanted to cover the concepts that Mr. Lund is going to be covering on Thursday. Now, he is a very skilled engineer, and as part of his job in creating pieces for the military and for Boeing, is that he has to have very accurate parts. His parts have to fit together precisely. So what we're going to talk about today is precision, measuring for accuracy and being precise when you measure, because if you're making a carbon hull for a fighter jet, those pieces have to be perfect, okay? So if you can see me now, I'm going to go ahead and go over the answers. If you notice, I turned the timer off on the Kahoot. So it gives you a lot more time to think about it. And I wanted that to happen because we do have smaller marks in here with 16ths, quarters, eighths of inches. So number one, it says, what is the measurement on the ruler? Well, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can annotate here. Aubrey, you have a question? Go ahead. I want to see if I can hear somebody. Aubrey, we've had problems with your audio before. Let's try Russell. Let me hear you.
Hi.
Okay, I can hear you. Good. Hey, Russell, you can be my voice for a second to see what you see. So can you see, hold on, I got some more kids in the waiting room. Okay, Russell, can you see my ruler?
Yeah, I can see the ruler.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start drawing on the ruler. Can you see me write that?
Yep, I see the high.
Okay. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to quickly go through this, the answers, and it shouldn't take long. So every inch is always divided into, well, not always. Some rulers have marks all the way down to the 32nds or 64ths. Some just go down to like the eighths or quarters. But in this one, it's down to the 16ths. And once again, I'm recording this, so if anybody misses this, then they can watch it later. So here we see that it is, hold on, I got more kids joining the room. Okay, Ian's in now. Welcome, Ian. We're gonna go over the answers to yesterday's problems. And once again, we're getting ready for our video meeting on Thursday with Mr. Lund, who is a very skilled engineer in Seattle that works on some very advanced robots. So here we go. You can see here that is right on the 6-inch mark. So the first answer should have been 6 inches. Next. And please, I'm 1, 2, 3 in this. Please make sure that you put your initials. I kind of like how this is WH, which I'm assuming is William Holcomb. I kind of like how he puts the periods after so I can see that those are his initials. So, number 2, hopefully you were finding these pretty easy. That is right on the 8-inch mark. So the longest lines are the whole inch marks. Let's hope I get a perfect score. Since there's no timer, you don't lose any points for taking your time, so that's fine. What is the measurement on the ruler again? Once again, this is standard measure. This is the customary measure that we're using, not the metric versions, which we will do. What is the measurement on the ruler? Let me, you can see here that these medium lines here mark the 1/2 inches. So there's your whole inches. There are your 1/2 inches. This would be 5.5 inches. Okay. I need another student in. Bear with me. Okay, next. Got a perfect score so far. We're going over the answers to yesterday's ruler problem. Once again, on this ruler, all of the one second. All of the measurements on these, every single line is a 16th. And isn't that, if you watch that video, it really emphasized the fact that all of your fractions need to be reduced to simplest terms. So if, say for this one, you had 3 and say 6/8, 6/8 isn't the exact answer that you would give, especially if you're giving that measurement to somebody if you're buying material. It needs to be in its simplest form. So this would be 3 3/4. Okay, so we see that here is the whole inch. There's 3 1/4. There's 3 1/2, and this is 3 3/4. Okay, so that is 3 3/4. Okay. Here we go. Number 5. What's the measurement on the ruler? Let me erase this. Okay, so now we're getting into more precise measurements. So we can see that these lines here, every 2 lines on this ruler will give me 1/8 inches. And we can see that this is the 6th line past the 9. So that would be For every 2 is 1/8 of an inch. So this would be 9 3/8 inches. Okay. Here we go, number 6. This one, once again, these every 4 lines on this, you're 1/4 inches. So that's 4 1/4. That's 4 2/4, but we don't call it 4 2/4. We call it 4 1/2. This is 4 3/4, not 6/8, because we need to make sure that we reduce it. And of course, it's not 12/16 either, because that should be reduced as well. So this is 4 3/4. Go. Okay, this one. Now, this is the first time that we've gotten down to 1/16 of inches. So I'm going to clear off my drawings here. Every line between the inch marks is 1/16 of an inch. Now we can see here the halfway would be 8/16, right? Because that's halfway across. There would be 9/16, 10/16, right? So that would be 5/8. But it's 1 mark past that one. So that's 8/16, 9/16, 10/16, 11/16. Now, when you start to get down to 16ths, you're starting to get pretty accurate. And, granted, some of these measurements that they use in engineering get down to millions of inches, which we're going to talk about with Mr. Lund. But in this case, it is 1 11/16. So let me go back. Okay. Okay, next. 3 more. What is the measurement on the ruler? All right, so once again, this is on one of the smallest marks. Every line past the inch marks is for 1/16 of an inch. So let's go ahead and start here at the halfway mark for between 11 and 12. That's 11 1/2. That would be 11 6/8. So that's 1 mark short of 12 inches. So 1/16 less than 12 inches would be 11 and, oh no, sorry, that's not the mark right before 12, because it kind of gives you the impression that I guess the mark at the very end is 12. So that is 11 and 8/16, 9/16, 10/16, 11/16. So it's 11 and 11/16. Sorry. Okay. Once again, this isn't, these aren't for time, so you don't have to, worry about losing points for taking longer. I'd prefer that you be accurate. So this is 1 mark just short of 9 1/2. So that would be 9 7/16. All right. Once again, please put your initials in so I know who it is that's answering your questions. Okay, what's the measurement on the ruler? This is, once again, we're down to the 16th. So there's 10 and 1/16, 2/16 or 1/8, and 3/16. So that's 10 and 3/16. All right. Got it? Russell, can you hear me? Russell, okay. All right. I want to go into the Bill Nye volcano ones real quick. And we're going to fly through this. I mean, obviously we kind of have to, because I left the timer in on this one. If you watch the Bill Nye video, you would be able to answer these very easily. So, oh, that was me already. We'll say 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Here we go. Volcanoes are formed from blank rock inside the earth. This one's pretty obvious. It's hot molten. Okay. Welcome, Mallory. You can't see me because my camera's off, but we're going to do some screen share for right now. We're just going over the answers to yesterday's Kahoots, which is measurement. and Bill Nye Video, or sorry, Bill Nye Volcanoes. If you need to watch it, you can go back. I'm recording all of this and I'll put it on YouTube. So, next. Volcanoes blank change the landscape. Once again, this is pretty easy. Can. Of course it can, for many reasons. Not all volcanoes explode when they erupt. Some volcanoes ooze hundreds of thousands of tons of rock at over, well, this one is 1,000 degrees Celsius. That's, roughly is about 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's incredibly hot. All right. Volcanoes usually occur where two blank run into each other. In this case, they are tectonic plates, large plates that our continents and oceans sit on top of.
Hey, Mr. Norman.
Yeah.
The screen is a lot slower than you're talking.
Okay, I'll slow down. It says magma in a blank or eruption column does not flow continuously. Instead, it sputters like smoke from a chimney. In this case, it is a plume. Plume. Is that better, Russell? Number 6. The blank in a plume builds up and forms volcanic islands. Well, in this case, it's pressure. Pressure from the heat, usually from the heat mainly, is what creates that pressure. Volcanoes erupt because there are blank trapped in the magma under the earth, gases. As those gases get hot, it expands. Hold on, I'm going to answer Aubrey's question. Aubrey, can you speak? Aubrey, seems like every time you talk, we have a problem with your audio. You should work on that. I can't see other people's hands because I'm limited to the number of people that I see at one time. Once again, welcome for everybody who is here today. I'm really happy to see everybody. I know this isn't ideal, but at least it gives us a chance to connect. By the time I do this again tomorrow, I'm going to broadcast tomorrow again at 11 to get us ready for our meeting with Mr. Lund. I will fix my camera so you can see my fancy haircut that I gave myself. So, when those gases get hot enough, they blank and blank. Well, they expand and explode. When things get hot, they expand. Gases expand, solids expand, liquids expand, and eventually, if they're trapped, the pressure has to be released and they explode. Okay. Lava moving under the surface of the earth is called an active lava field. Sometimes the surface collapses and creates a skylight. Just like in your house, if there's a ceiling, or sorry, if there's a window in your ceiling, it's a skylight. So in this lava field, it would also be referred to as a skylight. Okay. The chamber of magma is found under a caldera. Caldera is the fancy word basically for the big mound of a volcano. Today will be the last day that we're going to talk about volcanoes. Like I said, we're going to transition into getting ready for our meeting with Mr. Lund on Thursday. Cinder cone, stratocone, and blank are 3 types of volcanoes. In this case, it's a shield volcano. Okay, last question. Number 12. Volcanoes can be active, always erupting, dormant, hasn't erupted for 200 years or a while, or they haven't erupted in a really long time, we'd consider them extinct. Okay, there you go. So here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you on the whiteboard what I want you to understand for the Kahoot today. I'm going to post the Kahoot at noon. This Kahoot is going to talk about accuracy and precision and what's called tolerance. So can you guys see the picture of the airplanes that I have on my screen right now? No? Hold on.
Now we can't.
Can you see my airplanes now? Give me
Yes.
thumbs up.
Yes.
Okay, so these airplanes are what are called F-35s. It is the most cutting edge technology that our military uses right now. They are a stealth airplane, which means that they cannot, well, they're very difficult to detect using radar due to the shape and the material that's used in its construction. These are very hard for people to see on radar. Now, this is what Mr. Lund works on. He works on the precise shape of the wings and the fuselage, which means basically every piece has to be exact. There cannot be even the smallest of crack in the hull of these, or at the speeds they fly and the G-forces that they create, they would break apart. He also works with, go ahead and mute you, Russell, because I can still hear you. Oh, okay. Okay, so this is what Mr. Lund works on. We also have, he also works on this one. This is what's called the 787. This is the Boeing 787, which is Boeing's newest and certainly the most technologically advanced airplane that's ever been created, not just for Boeing, but for any company. These are being made down in the Everett factory and also the, I believe it's in Kent factory. They are incredibly expensive, but the cool thing about them is that they're really light because of their carbon fiber composite fuselage and their wings. And the insides, all the parts on the inside are incredibly advanced as well. So I want you to be oriented with these because this is what we're talking about with Mr. Lund on Thursday. But let me show you today's concept. So basically what we're going to talk about is what's called tolerance and accuracy. So let me go to a whiteboard. Okay. One second. I need to get my whiteboard over to the other screen. Can you see my whiteboard? Give me thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Can you see my whiteboard? Can you, oh. Draw. Hold on, let me stop share. When we're done, I want to have a quick share out because I definitely want to hear what you guys have been up to over spring break and any thoughts that you have. 1 second. Okay, now you can see it. Can you see me draw now? Okay, good, thank you. Thanks, Ivan. Okay, so watch. This is what's called tolerance. And this is what, sorry, tolerance, which means how accurate does a part need to be for, say, an airplane? An F-35 has to be incredibly accurate, which means that the tolerance would be very, very, very small. So for example, if I had a tolerance, and I'll label it just as T, of, and this is how we label it, plus or minus your tolerance, meaning it has to be, and then we'll see in this one, this is like a really, really rough kind of model. We'll say that it is a tolerance plus or minus of 1 inch, meaning it has to be within 1 inch of the measurement that I asked for. So say, for example, I asked for a board that is 20 inches long, and you gave me a board that's 22 inches long. Would that be within our tolerance? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Would that be in our tolerance? If I want a board that's 20 inches and it has to be either 1 inch shorter or longer, yeah, no, that's not within our tolerance. Now that's a pretty wide tolerance. Okay, so no, that is not within our tolerance. Let's shrink this down a bit. What if my tolerance was plus or minus 1/10 of a centimeter? And I want a board cut for my project that needs to be 15.5 centimeters. Understanding that it has to be within 1/10 of an inch. If you cut me a board that was 15.1 centimeters, is that within my tolerance? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Is that within my tolerance? Thumbs up, thumbs down. I want to see everybody's thumbs. It has to be within 1/10 of an inch, or sorry, centimeter. And I gave you a board that's 15.1 centimeters, and I asked for 15.5. No, that's because the difference between these two is 4/10. If you subtract these two, you have a difference of 4/10. And that's not okay. This board is not within our tolerance. This board is not accurate enough for the project that we're working on. Let me give you another one. What if I need a plain part that has been cut to a length? I need a tolerance of plus or minus, we'll say 1/10 of a millimeter. And I asked for this plain part to be, let's see, 8.7 millimeters, and you cut me a part that was 8.75 millimeters. Is 8.75 within my tolerance? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Is 8.75 within my tolerance? Is this number, 8.75, at least 1/10 close to the number that I asked for? Well, what you do is you can find the difference between the two. Since 8.75 is bigger than 8.7, you would subtract 8.7 from 8.75. In this case, you get 0.05 mm. And since 0.05 is less than 0.1, it falls within my tolerance, meaning this part would be acceptable, right? So what you need to do is how far the measurement from the measurement that I need, is it less than my tolerance? Okay? Thumbs up, thumbs down if you understand this. Do I need to do more examples? Aria says it's okay. We can do, here's what I'm going to do, because there's another question on the Kahoot that's going to be kind of like this. If I want a tolerance of, we'll say, 0.5 millimeters, that's half a millimeter, and I want an 11 millimeter piece. Someone tell me, and I'll see for people raising their hands, what is the smallest you could give me that would still be tolerated? What's the smallest piece that you could give me? Raise your virtual hand or your regular hand. Anybody? What's the smallest piece that you could give me? And it would still be tolerated. Aria.
It would be 10.5 millimeters.
Right, so if we subtract 0.5 millimeters from 11, that would give us 10.5 millimeters. And that is okay, because it is within 5 millimeters of what I asked for. Aria, what's the biggest this piece could be?
11.5.
Right, so we can add 0.5 to 11.5. So if you gave me a piece that's 11.5 millimeters, that's okay. Does that make sense? So Aria, since you have good audio, I'm going to talk with you for a second. Aria, so different projects require different accuracy. You could imagine that an airplane really needs high accuracy, correct?
Yeah.
Give me an example of something that you may make or fabricate that doesn't really need to have a really high tolerance. Like you could have a tolerance of a watt.
Probably you could do that with sewing in your fabric if it was, because when you sew the seams, then you can sew it so that you have a lot on the side
Right.
or just a little bit. So that could have a big tolerance.
Or if it's a loose fitting, shirt or a loose fitting pair of pants, it doesn't have to be exact, right? How about something like a wooden door that you would need to mount on a barn? Would it have a high tolerance or a low tolerance? Could you miss by a lot, or would you need to only miss by a little bit?
It would probably be more than miss a little bit, because it would need to fit a lot better.
Yeah, so what I want you to think about though is that doors that are made of wood, and this is something I deal with a lot, doors that are made of wood, whenever they get wet, they swell and they get bigger. And whenever they dry out, they get smaller and they shrink. So actually for doors need to have more tolerance. You need to give them some space, because if you don't, whenever it gets wet in the winter, the door won't shut. And whenever it gets dry in the summer, it won't, the little doorknob won't catch. So some of these things that expand and shrink because of heat need to have a larger tolerance. They need to have a little bit more space to get big and small. So that's what we're going to work on today. I'm going to give you a Kahoot with questions on tolerance. Also, here, let me do one more example. Let's say that I have a baby squirrel that weighs 3 pounds. And I put it on 3 different scales to weigh how much it is. And the first scale, the first scale tells me that the squirrel weighs 2.9 pounds. The second scale tells me, and remember this is a LB, so that's 3 pounds. So the second scale tells me that it is 3.2 pounds LB. And then the third scale tells me that it is 3.09 pounds. Aria, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Which one is the most accurate measurement? If it's actually 3 pounds, which one of these is the most accurate?
It would be number 3.
Why? How off is the measurement?
9 hundredths of a pound.
900. How much was this one off by?
2 tenths of a pound.
And how much was this one off by?
1 tenth of a pound.
Right, because it's 1/10 less than 3 pounds. So 9 hundredths would be the most accurate measure. So that's what we're going to work on, because I want to get you guys ready for some of these numbers that Mr. Lund is going to give to us on Thursday. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to give you a video to watch on the F-35. There is a nice video on the F-35. So once again, this is the plane that we're talking about. It's the newest fighter jet in our military, and this is a plane that Mr. Lund has been working on a lot. It's about a 10-minute video, and it talks about different aspects of it as far as, like its abilities, why it's such a special plane, how much it costs. And that's actually a thing we're going to talk about too, is whenever they start using big numbers, they don't say, 77,500,000, they'll say 77.5 million. So I want you to understand those conversions. So even though you can't see me, I can see you. Does anybody have any comments? You guys want to say anything about your spring break? Anything about what's going on? Is everybody doing okay? I mean, we're going to be a long time here without having contact with each other. Rihanna Gonzalez.
Well, it's kind of fun since, one, it's antisocial heaven for spring break.
This is almost taking it too far, though. I mean, even if you're antisocial, this is a really long time.
Well, I know it's a good thing, but sometimes it just feels a little boring since you get to see the same people every day.
Yeah. Well, it should never be boring. You guys have Chromebooks right there. Learn a new language. Learn calculus. Learn a computer-aided design course. You should always have something to work on. There's no
Well, it
excuse
also
to be
has to be
bored.
something you're interested in, too.
Well, that's true. Then find something you're interested in, right? Aubrey. It's hard to, let's try your audio again. Aubrey? No. Try again. Anyone else want to comment about their spring break or what's been going on? Any comments? Raise your actual hand. Aria, you're already unmuted. Go ahead.
I have made so many desserts.
Yeah, give us an example.
I've made lemon bars and cookies and cupcakes.
Wow. Okay. And are you going out to the grocery store to get all this stuff?
Well, we had most of the stuff we had at our house already.
Yeah. Okay. Ella, you're unmuted. Oh, we can't hear you. I think check your microphone. We'll come back to you. Baldeep, what's up? I can't hear you either, Baldeep. Madrid. I can't hear you either. Can everybody else hear Madrid? No? Huh. How about Walker? You're unmuted. Hello? Can you hear Walker? Yeah, no Walker either. I think we need to work. Was that something? Noah, you're unmuted. Can we hear you? I wonder if it's the Chromebooks. I wonder if you guys are having problems with your Chromebook microphones. Joseph, you're unmuted. Joseph, say something. Okay, well, I think we're just having some general issues with the audio. But I did want to touch base with you guys. We're going to have another live tomorrow. If you want to join us, that'd be great. I'm also recording these, so you can always come back and watch them again. I'm really excited to have Mr. Lund join us on Thursday. Next week, we're going to have another guest scientist. It's going to be Dr. Cara Whitaker, and she's going to talk about ornithology, which is the study of birds. And it's also going to be on Earth Day, which is April 22nd. So we're going to talk about how birds are related to environmental regulation, environmental protection, and other things. Rihanna Gonzalez, go ahead.
You know when the Commander Mark event was canceled?
Yes.
We could have just like video chatted. We could have just did a video chat like over.
Maybe we could ask for that, but the thing is that I think we still have to pay him to do that, and I'm not
How
sure.
much did we pay him last time?
It was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. I'm not sure exactly, but you would be shocked as to how much money it was going to cost. So, any other questions or comments? You know what I'd like to do as we before we close out here? I'd like to have a drawing contest maybe at the end of this week or at the end of next week. I'll give you an assignment, maybe a guided drawing, and then we can see each other's attempts at whatever it is we chose to draw. So for now, I'll go ahead and sign off. I'll fix my camera so you can see me next time, or I'll use a different kind of format here. But it's really great to see you guys. I hope you're holding up well. You know, if you ever need anything, just please feel free to email me. I want to make sure everybody's doing okay. So take a look at the assignment I'll post here in about 15 minutes, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow at 11. I hope you can join us. Okay? All right. Bye.
Bye.